Welcome everybody to this free session that I'm doing with the Boogie Mites, myself and Natasha on the call this evening. So I'm going to be doing the first 20 minutes or so, and then Natasha's going to take over to do some really fun interactive things with you, and then I'm going to wrap up in the last couple of minutes just to see to kind of complete the session for us. So welcome on the call. It looks as though I know quite a few people on the call, but then there are lots of people that I don't know as well. So I'm just going to introduce myself very quickly to people who don't yet know me. Not sure where you've heard of us in terms of joining this session this evening, but if you aren't already in my Facebook group, if you'd like to join me, you're very, very welcome to do so. It's a closed Facebook group. There's about 4,600 people in there just now, and it's quite an interactive place to be, which I've always wanted it to be that way, and it's obviously grown into that now. So thank you so much if you are in there for your participation in that. If you just look on Facebook, if you look for something similar to this, just so Asquith the childhood consultant, it'll pop up, and please just ask to join in after the call. I'll accept you in. There's my telephone, there's my email address here if you've got any questions at any time or you want further training in the future. And also there's my website here as well, so that if you want any of that, then you can just get in contact there. I'm also the author of a book called Self-Regulation Schools and Young Children, which you can buy all over the place, but Amazon is usually one of the easiest places to get your hands on that lately as well. So the reason why we're here this evening is to talk about transitions. I know we probably during this summer term, we tend to think about transitions or turn our mind towards transitions for those children that are leaving us to go to school. And I know some of you on the call will be in your final term in terms of finishing at the end of July, but some of you on the call will be maybe caring for these children right up until the starting school. And childminders obviously might also be changing from looking after that child full-time during the daytime to doing that wraparound before and after school care as well. So the majority of you, will be doing kind of different things in different roles during this time. So I just wanted to think about transitions, and one of the dictionary definitions that I quite like to use when I speak about transitions is the process or a period of changing from one state to another. And I think that's quite useful to think about. We often think about transitions as being that move to big school, or maybe in group care, we're thinking about maybe babies moving to toddler room and toddlers moving to preschools. But we forget sometimes about all these little transitions that are kind of age and stage related, maybe coming out of nappies or weaning or going from a cot to a big bed, and all those things that are kind of also transitions. But the reason why we're here this evening to speak to you is obviously to think about this supporting children in terms of big school. What I'd like to also focus on is the transitions, every transition, but actually the transition that we're talking about tonight in terms of getting to big school is a transition for everyone. It's going to be a transition for parents and children and yourselves. It's quite a tearful moment at the end of term, especially if those children aren't coming back. As I said, childminders maybe, or nurseries with after school provision, you might be, keeping in contact with those children. But for other times, children will believe in you and obviously going to school, and you won't ever probably see them again. And it's quite a sad thing to think about. So what I thought we'd maybe start off with is trying to think about what it's like for everybody, this transition, for the children, for parents and yourselves. So we need to think about it being obviously an emotional time for us, everybody. And also, we also sometimes just think about helping children to start school, and we maybe talk to them about teachers and the school uniforms and the school, but we don't often think about the goodbye from our point of view, and maybe they're building the memory boxes and things in terms of what they've done with us. It's really lovely at my age, 50, nearly 51, the way children that I've cared for in the past come and visit. When they first pass the driving test, they come and knock on the door and go, I thought I'd come and see you again. And you look and think, who's that? I've not seen you since about 4 or 5. But it's so lovely when they want to come back and see you. And I think if they've got that positive experience, obviously, of childcare, then, it would be lovely, wouldn't it, even at nursery, for somebody to come and rock up and say, hi, this is me. And you think that's so lovely. So just thinking about the fact that it's difficult for some children. It might be anxious for for some children, it might be really exciting for some children, but we forget sometimes that the parents are also a little bit at sea at this time as well. And we do a lot of supporting the children, but we sometimes forget about supporting the parents. Don't know if you've read the Royal Foundation report from, I think it came out in about November last year, and it talks about working in partnership with parents quite a lot, and it talks about how many parents are saying that parenting is a stressful time, and how many parents have felt isolated during the various lockdowns and things that have happened over this year so far and last year. And the fact that, you know, they might have had their parents or their friends in terms of maybe play dates for children, but with their friends and things. And all those, obviously, the support networks have been reduced during COVID. And if they've got their own parents around, then obviously they've not been able to see those kind of face-to-face either. So they were saying, you know, about where they get advice from, and lots of people are turning to like parenting blogs and things, and if they're really, really stuck, they're going to their GP. So I thought it was just worth maybe bearing that in mind and sharing that information with you this evening, because we want the parents hopefully to feel supported, to have the information that they need in terms of their children going to school, but also, you know, we're here for them to help them through that process as well. For some children, if their children are leaving childcare to go to school, for some parents, it's like, you know, their children, they sometimes they want to see their children as babies, you know, and suddenly it's kind of the end of the babyhood, end of that kind of time, and it is a sad time sometimes, especially if that's your youngest child and you know, or the only child, and they're going through to school as well. So I think sometimes again we forget the parents, and then we forget maybe about our emotional well-being when we're saying goodbye to some of these children as well. So I thought it was worth just mentioning that to start with. So when we're thinking about transitions, it's not just about preparing those children, it's about what we can do with parents and for yourselves as well, in terms of helping parents to find out where they might be able to get uniform from. You'll probably know already about which children are going to which feeder schools. So can you put parents in contact with each other maybe? So if they're going to school A down the road, then, you know, this is you know, they've got a red uniform, and everybody, you know, everybody that's going there can be put in a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group, or you know, numbers can be, obviously with parental consent, you can be sharing numbers and saying, do you want to buddy up with these people? These are the people you might be going to school with and chatting in the playground with. Somebody else might be going to another school down the road, school B, and they've got the blue uniform, and you know, so there's all kinds of things maybe that we can do here to support, and I'm sure you're doing lots of this already, but maybe this year even more, that we need to maybe start to think about how we're going to support everybody. As it's been a year like no other, or a year and a bit like no other at the moment, we need to think about lived experiences. We obviously think about transitioning for children all the time to going into school, but this cohort of children have probably had quite a rough ride already in terms of lived experiences, stop and start. So if they weren't key worker children, and they might have had several months off childminding or nursery or preschool, and then they might have come back for a little bit of time, and then if you're a term time only setting, you might have had obviously this summer off, and then September, and then maybe during the mini lockdown the parents might have been furloughed and unfurloughed. There's been loads and loads of change, hasn't there? And when they first came back, possibly we had one-way routines and one-way systems and different changes in routines, parents dropping off at the door, the smell of the sanitizer and stuff that we've been using on our hands and all our stuff, which means that the children, especially with some sensory processing issues, or somebody that's specifically sensitive to sensory input, you know, there's all that additional kind of insult in terms of the sensory systems as well, when it's heightened sensory stuff as well. The favourite toys might have been quarantined, or they might have been on obviously a rolling road, or maybe taken away completely, depending on what that toy was. Sometimes the friends have returned to childcare, some friends haven't returned to childcare because some friends' parents might be still furloughed, or maybe they've lost their job. So maybe there's been quite a lot of emotional stuff already over the last kind of 14, 15, 16 months as well. I'm sure I don't need to tell you, but obviously this could lead to changes in behaviour, and we know that changes in behaviour could, not always, but could link to child protection issues as well. Ofsted spoke about regression. So they spoke about the children had this time off from childcare and then suddenly coming back and losing the ability in terms of toilet training, losing the ability to feed themselves and all sorts of things, and all kinds of behaviour and development had regressed. One of the Ofsted HMIs spoke several months ago on a webinar, and he was talking about the children are understandably disorientated, which I think is probably a really nice phrase to think about, because if they've had this stop-start routine stuff over this last 15, 16 months or so, and then obviously going to school is a big thing, and maybe it's adding to the understandably disorientated kind of, the term. COVID will have affected some children and adults a lot more than others. And we're not in all in the same boat. I know that sometimes people say we're all in the same boat, let's get on with it. But some people will be on a boat that needs wind. Some people will be on a boat that needs some kind of fuel to drive it. So some of them might have sprung leaks. Some of them might be out of the wind at the moment, and there's no wind at the moment, so they're just bobbing along and they're not doing anything and not moving anywhere. And also I thought it was probably worth thinking about summer loss. I did a lot of reading around summer loss when I was at uni. However, when I've tried to do the reading on the internet rather than in the from the archives in the actual university, I've not been able to find very many things on summer loss. But lots of people report. We can do a transition report if the children are leaving us at the end of July, and they can do that transition report to send it into school for their reception class teacher. But if children are then off and they're not with anybody apart from the parents during that 6 weeks holidays or 7 weeks sometimes, by the time they get to school, this regression that Ofsted were talking about in terms of the children not being in childcare has happened again. Obviously a lot smaller because it's 6 or 7 weeks rather than a couple of months or 3 or 4 months. But this summer loss is something worth thinking about, I think, because if the children are leaving you at the end of term, then they've got 6 or 7 weeks, and obviously if not a great deal's happening there in terms of input from parents. And I know some children are really lucky and parents do absolutely loads with them, but there is a potential for some of that learning to be lost over summer. So I think it's worth maybe thinking about that if you're a term time only setting and then children are leaving us in July. Is there anything that you can suggest that parents can do during that 6 and 7 weeks to top up their learning or to keep the brain consolidated so that children are not forgetting things or losing that learning? So starting school, tell me, can you remember, if you pop it in chat for me, can you remember your first day at school? I don't remember my first day at school. The first thing I can remember is being in year 1. And we had to take our dad's, it had to be dad's, I don't know why, it had to be dad's old shirt so that we can put it on backwards so that the buttons were down the back. So when we were painting on the easels, and it had to be dad's old shirt that we could cut down. I don't remember my first day at school. My husband remembers his, and I maybe should have asked him before regaling this conversation to you, especially as it's been recorded. But he said he's the third child, so he's the youngest child of 3. And he told his mum that he's not going to like school, and he was going to cry all day long, and he was going to hate it. So his mum got his dad to take him to school rather than her dropping him off like she usually drops the children off. And he did just that, and he cried all day long and hated it. I think, hopefully, during especially the first school, primary school, he probably got the hang of it, got some friends, and he was okay. But he does remember his first day at grammar school when he was going and he didn't know anybody. He wasn't going with the cohort to secondary school. He went into grammar school, and he could remember that kind of nervous, anxious feeling again before obviously he knew anybody there as well. So let's have a look what's coming through in chat in terms of first day at school. Oh, that's good. So if people are thinking about the shirt, so people are saying that they remember this as well, and the schools are still doing it. Really good. That's good. I didn't think they were, but that's good. Can't remember. Can remember the tuck shop. That's a good one to remember, isn't it? My sister used to be in charge of this tuck shop at middle school. She was in charge of all that. They didn't ask me for some reason, probably because I can't bake, but she was really good at doing all that. Remember the first day, cries all day and wouldn't let go. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So it's, you know, it's a massive, massive trauma, isn't it, for some children? Remember mine as my mum and dad took me, and only day my dad ever took me as, yep, lovely. So that's a lasting memory of dad taking children to school. And when I was at school, it was very rare that you saw dads in playgrounds. It was all mums, and it was very rare, really, for a childminder or a nursery or anybody to collect the children from school all those years ago. So it's a significant thing, isn't it, if dad was allowed to or able to go for the first day as well. Oh, that's really good then. So somebody's remembering the first day at primary school, and that was 40 years ago, and remembers mum taking to cloakroom, and I remember the smell and looking at all the pictures on the pegs. I remember if I go into school, it's not so well since I've been into school, if I'm honest, but when my mum used to be a dinner lady, when they were allowed to call them dinner ladies, when my sister was at school. And if I had to go there to collect the key from her or whatever on the way home from school, I remember just kind of that kind of, it almost smelled like steeped peas all the time, did the cloakroom, and then that smell, that specific smell of the games area and the changing rooms. I do remember those kind of things, but they aren't from being there myself. It's kind of from visiting afterwards. But possibly the smells have, you know, it's something in my amygdala that's, you know, is there already. It's an unconscious memory, really, that it's maybe think about that as well. First day, had the same bag as someone else, and the teacher put her initials on the front and massive mark. Yep. Okay. Yep. The fish paste glue. Oh gosh, the memories. Yep. The build-up of starting school and expecting to learn to read. That's okay. Yeah. So obviously it's the build-up, isn't it? It's what people it's what people are saying that's, you know, what's going to be happening and what have you. It's a massive build-up, and sometimes this is a good thing and sometimes it's not a good thing, because sometimes it builds anxiety and sometimes it builds excitement. Yes. Remember seeing somebody else crying near the door, crying their eyes out, and all the warm milk in the glass bottle. Absolutely. It was disgusting, wasn't it? It was awful. Yeah. I can't remember my first day either. Oh, but somebody's remembering the story time on the carpet with the extra large books. Yeah. It makes me laugh when children try and do that, when they pick up the book, and when teachers have this thing of being able to peer around the thing and actually, and then the children they might pick up a small book or a big book, and they're still doing the same thing out there, and they're looking at it the other way. It makes me smile. So some really, really lovely stories. Yeah, it does. Yes, it does, Natasha, doesn't it? And it's weird how your brain remembers that those smells. You, as an adult, you can go back in, can't you? And yeah, brilliant. That's really super. Thank you for sharing that. So I don't know whether people were thinking that they were excited or whether they were daunted by that first day at school. I don't know whether how old everybody is on the call, but obviously we'll have some younger people than me and perhaps some same people a similar age to me. Was there a build-up? Did somebody prepare you for that starting school, or was it just, you know, everybody just mucked in on the day and what happened kind of thing? So I think we need to start to think about how we prepare children for starting school, and knowing that some of them will be super excited because it's their first day and that's what they've expected to do for such a long time, whereas other ones will be building anxiety. Children with sensory processing issues or specific needs there, if they don't like itchy labels and things like that, then this new uniform is going to be a bit of a trauma maybe for some children, and maybe helping them to get in and out of a uniform, and maybe having some fashion parades at home for the parents and what have you, to, you know, just getting the children ready and sorted. Maybe you know, things like parents, do they know about getting the names when somebody was saying about the same bag as somebody else and the teacher had to write the name on the front of the bag? The parents know that everything needs labelling, because it must be a nightmare on PE day for the reception class teacher when 30 people take off the school jumpers and they're exactly the same and nobody knows whose jumpers are whose. I know some schools are really, really good in terms of, you know, these settling in packs and what have you, welcome packs. But I think some of these things we can be sharing with parents and haven't given a heads up to parents about where they can buy these sticker labels for their school uniform, or the sewing in labels. I think they're less common nowadays because less people want to sew, but there's all sorts of different labels and things, isn't there, that we can help parents and signpost them to. Culture capital, we talked about culture capital, or I seem to have been talking about it every day for absolutely months, but we need to think about culture capital, and children need to be able to go to school with quite a wide range of skills, not necessarily be able to read or do sums before they get there, but we need to think about their culture capital. And again, if they're going to be off for that summer, you know, the 6 or 7 weeks, what can we suggest to parents in terms of filling up that culture capital and keeping it online, especially when the restrictions have been in for so long over this last 15 or 16 months, and what children possibly would normally have done before COVID, possibly they've not been able to do, like trips to the zoo, to the seaside, to the farm, to soft play centres, and all those things that, you know, have kind of built culture capital for lots of years for children. They're obviously, we've got this cohort of children now who have had maybe limited experiences. They might have got other experiences that they probably wouldn't have done out of COVID. So maybe they've been going on walks and maybe spending more time outside, or doing some baking and gardening with parents. But, you know, lots of children have possibly not been in that fortunate situation where all that things happening as well. So I think we need to really think about these things in terms of this cohort of children. I know it's possibly things we're thinking about for all children all the time at this time of year, but I think especially this cohort of children, we really need to think about the impact that COVID might have had on them. I know that Ofsted are thinking of culture capital. They're thinking of how we're helping children with those transitions, and also culture capital, especially of children maybe with special education needs and disabilities as well, in terms of what they might have missed out on additionally over this last kind of, you know, 15 months or so, because some of them might have been shielding, but some of them might also have been missing out on the multi-agency support, the speech and language therapy support and things like that as well. So I think we've got a whole host of things there, and you will obviously know your cohort of children really, really well and what the best way around this is. But sometimes talking about school and building it up sometimes causes anxiety. And I think we just need to kind of bear that in mind, really, especially if big schools this kind of phenomenon that children don't know about. When I was childminding, from being babies, they went to school every day with me, so it was a natural thing by the time they were 4 to join up, and they wanted the book back, and they were so happy when they got that big boy or big girl book bag, and they wanted that, you know, they were really, really super excited. I know one parent took a month off and worked from home but didn't go into the office, took the month off so that she could do the wraparound herself, taking the child to school. And he said, "Why are you taking me to school today? And why aren't I going with the other children?" And so, and he was really put out for himself that he wasn't allowed, because he wanted his first day, his book bag, to go with the big children. So I think it's just worth thinking about all the bigger picture. Well, of course, mum and dad want to be there on the first day, but this child was really put out. And by the second day, I was going, "I want to go to tea at Sue's. Don't want to come home with you. You can take me, but I need to go back to Sue's with the other children." So I think, you know, it's worth just thinking about all this stuff as well. So somebody's just putting in chat, you've introduced the Colour Monster book. I haven't got the Colour Monster books, but I think I need to buy them, even though I haven't got any children. There's so many people saying how useful they are. I think that is a really, really good suggestion. Thinking about asking them, not just assuming that children are going to be excited, but using these kind of resources to really explore whether children are excited, if they've got any questions. Maybe having some uniform in role play if you can, maybe some, you know, some cast off uniform from children that it doesn't fit them anymore, and getting them to be able to walk with a book bag. Some people used to trip up over their big bags. I don't know quite how they did it, but on the way to school they ended up with a flat in the legs and ended up falling over the book bags and slamming it all down. Anyway, over to Natasha. I've spoken for, I don't know what time it is now because I've got so many messages. Oh, about past. That's really good timing. So over to Natasha now. So Natasha from Boogie Mites is here with us, and I'm so thrilled to be doing this with Boogie Mites because she will bring this to life in this next 20 minutes or so, and she's got loads of fun things. I know she's really excited to be speaking to you as well. So welcome, Natasha.
Thank you. Do you need to make me a host so that I can share my screen?
I think you should just be able to share, and it will just
Okay.
get rid of mine, hopefully.
Let me just check.
I can stop sharing if not and just do that.
Fingers crossed. Let's have a look. Oh, there we are. Perfect. Can you all see that?
Not yet. I'll stop sharing to see if you can.
Okay.
Okay, I can see it now.
Yeah, the green and white screen?
Yes, I can.
Perfect, brilliant. So thank you so much for inviting us to do this as a joint venture with you. My name is Tasha, for those of you who have never seen me before, and I work with Boogie Mites. I was previously a primary school teacher, and I've worked across both key stages 1 and 2, and in early years as well. I did a year in year R in my career, and then I've dipped back in and out of early years as time has gone on. But now I'm a Boogie Mites tutor, and I've had experience leading family learning, parent education, and we obviously had to go online with that last summer, and we're back on site this summer, which so thankful for. It's lovely to see everybody back in person again. And we do encourage parents to practice at home over the summer as well. So we go through the course with them, we give them the songs and the resources and the activities to do, and we do them with them, and then we encourage them to do it throughout the summer so that it eases the transition for their children into primary school. Boogie Mites have been developing these transition courses for primary schools for the last 10 years, and they are highly valued by the schools right throughout Hampshire for preparing children's foundations for literacy. So let's have a little look at the agenda. So for the next 25 minutes or so, there are 4 things that we are going to cover. We're going to look at how music can support the foundations for literacy, how music can support the foundations for maths. Then we're going to look at 3 Boogie Mites songs that you can try with your children over the summer, and then we're going to have a quick chat about parental involvement. I'm going to start with a brief overview of why music practice can provide a boost for literacy ready for school. We go more into detail and consider neuroscience evidence if you attend our online or on-site practitioner training program. So this is kind of a brief introduction to that. So first of all, let's look at the literacy foundations. So evidence shows that children with a strong phonological awareness when they start school will be the strongest readers and writers by the age of 7. So by the time they go up into key stage 2. Now, phonological awareness consists of syllables, onset rhymes, so thinking about initial sounds and then the string of sounds that come afterwards, and then phoneme awareness. But in parent language, phonological awareness is just the ability to hear the sounds throughout the words. So we need to give our children a rich auditory experience to be able to build up that phonological awareness. Music practice, by definition, results in developing higher awareness of sounds, and regular music practice will develop phonological awareness. And we recommend that music practice takes place daily. Let's have a brief overview, though, of how music practice can provide support for maths as well. Music is built from recurring mathematical patterns and sequences. We've got beat, dynamics, tempo, rhythm. We've got all of these things going on within the music. And children can develop mathematical thinking as they notice and they respond to these things. There's a sense of pattern that supports children's learning, and that enables them to make links and to notice connections between events and ideas, and promotes thought and the capacity to learn. Early exploration of movement and sound, combined with the brain's drive for patterns, leads to recognition of regularities that can be identified, like ordering, classifying, predicting, sequencing, and that really lays strong foundations for mathematical thinking. And again, regular music practice will develop mathematical thinking. But let's think about the wow of music. Repetition really is the key. So daily practice will have the biggest impact. About 3 times a week would be good, but we recommend daily. In our training, we also consider links to the 7 aspects of phase 1 letters and sounds, and we also look at the EYFS early learning goals for maths and literacy as well. But for this session, we're going to get active and cover 3 songs for you to try out. Seeing is believing, and really the best way that you can discover the power of musical activities developed specifically to engage the 3 to 5s age group is to try out a few songs regularly for a few weeks with your cohorts, the development taking place for yourselves. So we've chosen 3 songs to share with you tonight. They're all bonus songs from our School Ready Literacy Music programme. So I'll introduce them to you and I'll show you the resources that you can sign up for free following this session. There's going to be a link to set up an account on our customer hub, and we'll share the link to the WhatsApp group after the session. And your setting will then be granted a special license so that you can use the Boogie Mites songs, the videos, and the notes over the summer as a trial. The 3 songs that we're going to choose can be put together to make a 20-minute music time, and you can adapt it to fit different themes for the day or even themes that your children have chosen as well. So let's have a look at how we can use that to support our children's transition. So first of all, we're going to look at our first song, which is called Beanbag Hello. So I'll sing it through to you. The song can be sung at the start of a circle time. And you should learn it from the recorded version, but then sing it a cappella with your children so that you can stop and start for each of your children and give them time to contribute towards the name suggestions. So initially, we would suggest that you use this song with children's names, and then you can start playing around with their names using things like alliteration or rhyming words, and you could even theme it. So I'll sing it to you first of all to give you a rough idea of how it goes. And then we're going to watch a short video clip of it actually being used in a pirate theme, and that will give you a really good idea of how it can be adapted. So if you've got any comments or questions, then please do use the chat function while we're watching the video. But this is how it goes. So we always start with clapping the beat, so children have got that strong beat, and it goes like this. Beanbag hello, beanbag hello. Let's have a go at beanbag hello. If you have the beanbag, it's your turn. Tell us your name and pass the bag along. And then the children, or we sing with our children, their names. So for example, I would sing, my name's Tasha, my name's Tasha. We'd all sing, hello Tasha, let's pass the bag along. Or if you're doing it with alliterative names, it might be talkative Tasha, whatever you can think of. I'm going to show you the video clip now so you can see it as a theme. And as I said, if you've got any comments or questions about it, then you can type them in the chat box. Works well now. Here we go. Oh, sorry, that was me turning my sound up. We can get a rhythm going. Can we count to 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pirates, hello. Pirates, hello. Let's have a go with pirates, hello. When you have the parrot, it's your turn. Tell us your name and pass the bird along. Well, I've got the parrot, so I think I'd better tell you my name. My name? Harriet. Yeah. Happy, happy,
you. Let's sing for you. Pirate alone, pirate alone. Let's have a go at pirate alone. When you have the parrot, it's your turn. Tell us your name and pass the bird along. So, your name is? Rachel, can you tell us? Rachel, isn't it? Pirate Rachel. You're going to be Pirate Rachel today. Yeah, Pirate Rachel. Your name is Rachel. Yeah. Well done. Now, can you pass the birds to someone else? Whoa. Who's got the bird? Woody. Woody? Yeah. Woody, have you got the parrot? Yeah. Shall we say, hello, Woody? Pirate Woody. Hello, Woody. Now pass the bird to someone else. Who are you going to pass the bird to? Yeah, it's going to be a big throw, isn't it? Whoa! Where did the bird go? Well done. What's your name? Sorry, can you say it louder? Zara. Hello, well done. Your name is? Pirate Zara. Well done. Hello, Pirate Zara. Now pass the birds to someone else. Woo! Well done. Who's going to say like that? Oh, yeah. Okay, let's sing the song one more time. Pirate hello, pirate hello. Let's have a go at pirate hello. When you have the parrot, it's your turn. Tell us your name and pass the bird along.
Okay, so that gives you a really good idea of how it can work in a setting. So as it's the first time that the children have met the teacher and have heard the song, then it's kept really simple with each child just being called Pirate and then their name. But then as you develop this with your children, you can progress this with thinking up different pirate names for the children. So you could perhaps do a little pirate related activity beforehand where they can choose their names, and maybe if you feel they're ready for it, use alliteration. So for example, Rachel from the first clip could become Reckless Rachel, and Woody could become Wacky Woody, and Zara could be Super Zara. The words can be made up, it's just the initial sound that's really important, and that's what we are interested in. So you need to kind of make up a bit of a word to go with the name, that's fine too. But let's think about the maths that's going on there as well. So the children were keeping the beat, they were clapping, they started with the counting, and the children will learn the sequence of the words that are repeated for each verse. So they'll get used to the sequencing as well. Now in a small group, you could also follow an agreed order for the names, and then just recap the order several times, and that will develop memory recall as well. So you can develop so many skills just with this one song. Let's move on to another song though, shall we? This is a song called Let's Tap a Word. We've got a version called Let's Tap a Name as well, which we use sometimes as a bit of a welcome song, but it works really well as a literacy activity. So this song can follow on from a story or a rhyme that's been acted out or listened to. The children can be asked to choose words from the story or from the rhyme to use in the song. So we would suggest that you agree 4 words with the children and in which order they'll be included in the song. And then you clap or tap if you have some rhythm sticks, each one out, counting the syllables. So if I sing you our version here, we've used Cinderella as a story character, and it would go like this. Let's tap a word, tap, tap and be happy. Let's tap a word, what could it be? Let's tap Cinderella. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cinderella. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cinderella. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now shake it all about. Let me hear you shout. Shimmy down low. Let's go. Let's tap a word. Tap, tap and be happy. Let's tap a word. What could it be? So that's the sequence of, small actions to go with it, how we would introduce the word, how we would count the syllables. So we're going to watch a clip of this song actually now in action in year R. And then we'll talk about it afterwards. But to do that, I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and then I'll be able to share it with you from our Customer Hub, and I'll explain about Customer Hub to you in just a minute as well. So if I share again, but this time I want to share the Customer Hub with you. I know it takes a few seconds to kind of transfer. Hopefully you can all see that now. It's a green header with our Boogie Mites logo and then text on a white background. Wendy, you're the first person I can see under my name. So if you can give me a thumbs up, let me know if you can see the screen. Brilliant, thank you very much. So we're going to have a little look now at how this song can be shown in action in a setting. So here are the children with their tap sticks. Okay, so that gives you an idea of it in this setting, and I'm not sure if you noticed, but they progress adding a syllable each time. So what do they start off? They start off with chicken, 2 syllables, then they went to the 3-syllable kangaroo, and then the 4-syllable alligator. So it just helps to progress, children's awareness of syllables in that way. You can imagine adapting this for all different occasions and themes, can't you? You could try singing this after a story time each day, and you might like to join Boogie Mites' Achievement for All Summer of Literacy Challenge. You can sign up to take part in reading and count your reading and musical minutes. We're sharing the same 3 songs that we're sharing with you tonight with everybody who's taking part, and there's also a competition for the best video of children singing this song. So we'll post again the sign up link if you want to join the challenge in the group after the session. But again, let's think about the maths that's going on in that song. We've got the sequence of action between each round of the song. We've got counting the syllables in a word, we've got hearing the taps, and then we've got being able to visualize the number that you've heard. And if you've had a chance to look at the new guidance for September, you'll know that subitizing is in the number section. And so, this is a nice introduction to that, isn't it? Of being able to, visualize the number without actually, having the concrete things in front of you. Let's go on to our 3rd and final song. This song is called Goodbye Hasta Luego, and we've chosen this song because it uses signing and different languages to include many different forms of communication. And it also provides a really good end of session, feel if you're putting the 3 songs together as your music time session. So it's a great way to end. We're going to watch a colleague of mine called Liv, and she's going to introduce the song. And then she's going to teach us the signing, and then we're going to sing it together. If you want to join in, please do feel free. So let me share this 3rd video with you.
Hi everyone, I'm here to take you through Goodbye Hasta Luego. This is a beautiful, gentle song to end sessions, and it's one of your bonus resources. And I'm also going to introduce some signing to this song. So we have Goodbye Hasta Luego, a la vida ciao. It means be happy, be healthy, and be safe until I see you again. Then our 2nd verse, we have Goodbye hasta luego, a la vida ciao. Thank you for being my friend today. Tomorrow we will play.
Bye, hasta luego, a la vida, ciao. It means be happy, be healthy, be safe, until I see you again. Goodbye, well, hasta luego, well. Thank you for being my friend today. Tomorrow we will play. Goodbye, hasta luego.
And so it repeats. It's just a lovely way, isn't it, of saying goodbye to our children, teaching them a little bit of Makaton as well. So you have now 3 songs that you can use to practice. And it would be great if you could watch your children's sequencing, coordination and engagement improve, and with it their foundations for literacy and maths. So this is what your online resource looks like. This is our customer hub page, and you'll have to click the link that we'll share in the group after the training in order to sign up and have access, and that will be sent to you then via an email link. But let me scoot all the way up. So this is what the customer hub looks like, and if you sign up to it, it's totally free, then this is the page that you will have access to. So on the right hand side here, you've got your downloadable MP3s for the songs. So you can download them all or one at a time if space is tight on your device. So here are your resources for your music. And then if you scroll down, you've got an audio track for the first song, for Beanbag Hello. You've got a video here of Sue just explaining all about it to you. And then you've got a video here of Harriet doing it in the setting. And then if you scroll down, we've got our Let's Tap a Word. So here's the in-setting video that we just watched together. You've got the audio track again up here. And then you've got an instructor video here. I think this is Tamsin here, another one of our Boogie Mites tutors. And then here you've got a training video where you actually can watch some of the Boogie Mites tutors learning it together, but they're learning it in a way that you would also introduce it to your children as well. And then at the end, you've got our 3rd song, Goodbye Hasta Luego. So again, you've got the audio track and then our video of Liv teaching you all of the actions. So the last thing that I want to talk to you about really quickly before we finish is parental involvement. Let me just come off the customer hub, and then you'll be able to see me. So parental involvement is the last thing I want to talk to you about. So at Boogie Mites, it is part of our mission to share the knowledge, the confidence and the resources with parents so that they can enjoy the bonding benefits of shared music making with their children, as well as supporting their children's development. Music makes such strong memories, and we all know that, don't we? I'm sure we can all relate music to something or other in our lives. And it's so important that parents really enjoy the music time with their children as well. They can also sign up for the Achievement for All challenge and to gain access to the 3 songs as well. So do share the AFA Summer of Literacy link with your parents as well, and really do encourage them to get involved. Ask them to share with you any of their observations, and do report back to us, because we love hearing from people that we've met and worked with about their experiences of Boogie Mites music. We've taken feedback from parents and teachers from over the 20+ years that Boogie Mites have been operating, and we've turned it into the programme that we're now able to offer you, for you to follow. And we continue to welcome feedback and improve our programmes wherever possible, so please do feedback to us. If you've enjoyed this taster of Boogie Mites and you'd like to cover full training with us, then we have both maths and literacy online training courses that are running this summer. So we're covering our maths programme on the 21st and the 23rd of June. And that's a 1-hour Zoom followed by online training modules then for the next few weeks. And then you get support via a Facebook group as well. And we'll post the link for the online booking again in the WhatsApp group. And there are just 10 songs in the maths programme, so it's a bit shorter, and my colleague Tamsin, who we saw on the still of another video, is leading that training. And then next we're offering an online 6-week training course for our school ready literacy programme, and that's going to be on the 19th of July, and I am leading that one. And you can book online again, and we'll share again the link with you in the WhatsApp group as well. And you can inquire about exclusive online training for your setting, either on site or online with Sue, and I will post her email address for any inquiries as well. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this taster, and it's back to Sue to wrap up for us. Please do post any questions though in the group, and I will respond as quickly as I can. But thank you again, and Sue, it's back to you. Oops, I need to make you host though, don't I, to be able to do that? Ooh. No, you are the host, so I can mute myself.
Brilliant. Can you see my PowerPoint again?
No.
Oh. Natasha, can you stop sharing? Does it something about stop sharing?
No, I've already stopped sharing. I've got your screen again now on my screen.
So you can see, you can see your photograph and the Boogie Mites logo?
That's right, yes.
And everybody else?
And it says at the top you are viewing Sue Asquith's screen.
Good, okay, that's brilliant. It came through. I think it was just a little bit, sometimes it's a bit laggy when you first start to share. Just let somebody into the meeting, just bear with me a second. So just to clarify, Natasha didn't mean I was teaching this, because she wouldn't want to listen to
different Sue.
The Boogie Mites Sue. There's quite a few different Sues, and you absolutely would not want me. It's really good. Natasha's got a lovely voice, and I'm really, really pleased that she was here this evening to do that, because you would not have wanted to listen to me at all. So I just wanted to get that one out there, because you don't want to be listening to me singing at all. Okay, so I just thought we'd finish this session in the last couple of minutes just to think about PSED and self-regulation. We've known for quite a long time that obviously PSED is really fundamental, and obviously it's a complex thing, but it's really fundamental in terms of children's self-image and, you know, the excitement and kind of wanting to obviously have friends and go to school and things, and it's quite fundamental. And thankfully the government did, and various people from various departments of the government have spoken about you know, getting children's PSED back online before the teaching starts, which was quite nice to hear those kind of things coming through. So I thought just to finish off with just quickly dip into the revised DYFS coming out in September, because PSED has got quite a lot of change in there, and one of the changes is self-regulation is now going to be an early learning goal. One of obviously my book's about self-regulation, and how I put this across in my book is the ability to understand and manage your own energies your emotions, behaviours and attention in a socially acceptable way. And for some children, it'll mean socially acceptable ways are different. They might be different to home, to your setting, and certainly possibly to school as well. And some people wonder why their children, they might be kind of keeping a lid on their emotions and the feelings all day long, but then at some stage, like a pressure cooker, it's got to flick up and this psh will come out. And we're going to have to be obviously really aware of this for September for children who might be able to keep a lid on their behaviour and conform to whatever teachers wanting them to do in class, but actually are going to be absolutely drained and really tired by the end of the day, and they're just going to want some comfort. They're just going to be maybe run around, maybe whatever it is to get this out of the systems, because they can't kind of keep it all kind of hemped up all the time. So some of these children are going to need some extra TLC if you are collecting them after school, maybe in September, or we can possibly talk to parents about this emotional drain maybe at the end of the day, because they're only little, aren't they? And you know, some of them will have only given up that afternoon nap or whatever in the afternoon, just maybe just shortly before going to school as well. So I think it's really important just to spend a little bit of time thinking about self-regulation, thinking about kind of building those skills for self-regulation and executive function. And a lot of these things, I know Natasha's spoken about the literacy and mathematics side of these videos today, but I can see lots and lots in terms with my self-regulation hat on and physical development and what have you. You know, there's loads of stuff underpinned there, and I know Natasha could probably speak for 2 hours just about that herself, and she only wanted, you know, because we've got 20 minutes to do that, but there's, you know, in those videos I could see loads and loads of things that I've been talking about for months in terms of this revised EYFS as well. So not just the maths and literacy, but absolutely loads and loads of things. Supporting parents we've spoken about, I think, and it's really, really important that we see this from their point of view as well, and just thinking about the kind of things we can do to support parents. And like I've said, maybe read that Royal Foundation research paper. I'll possibly try and find the link again and pop it back in my Facebook group, or maybe the WhatsApp group as well, so that you can see that. But there are so many stressed out parents there. They're finding parents stressful. They're finding parenting, balancing work, balancing childcare, balancing everything, you know, really, really stressful. And if the back of the head, they're also worried about starting school. If they remember I can't remember who it was in the chat saying that they cried all day too. If they've got those feelings and those memories in their head from starting school, they might be obviously super anxious for their little children as well. And obviously we don't want that to pass on to the children in terms of their ability and confidence to start school. Your ideas, we've spoken a couple of times now the last couple of weeks, Boogie Nights and myself, wanting to know whether you'd be interested in further training if we collaborated again, and we'd love to. We've got so many things in common and we could really back each other's thoughts and values up loads and loads. So I'm just wondering if you want to pop anything in chat, if you've got any ideas of anything we can put together. Some of it may be free, some of it we might have to make a nominal fee for, but I'm just wondering if having obviously listened to myself and Tasha today, whether you've actually got any ideas or any further training needs. And if you want to just pop them in chat and we'll collate those later, and we'll try and work on maybe doing something else over summer, maybe for helping children that are going to be starting in September maybe, and we'll maybe do something again if that's what you're wanting. Reflection, I didn't ask you at the beginning of the session because I sometimes forget when I'm trying to remember to press the record button. But I often ask people when they first start training with me, if you can think of your knowledge and confidence scores before you start. Unfortunately, I forgot to ask you that before we started today. But I usually think if 1's a low number and 10 is a high number, if you'd thought about your knowledge and confidence in terms of transitions and thinking about music and how that helps with transitions. And if you can then, if you can probably maybe cast your mind back an hour, thinking about maybe putting some post-training scores there, pre-training scores there, and then now think about your post-training scores, and hopefully maybe you scored yourself at 5 to begin with and maybe you're at 7 or 8 or something now. So I think it really helps you in terms of just thinking about your CPD and your intent, your implementation and the impact of what's happened today in this last hour, and what's the implementation, how you're going to go off and maybe do some work with parents, access the Boogie free materials and songs, and have those practices interacting with the children daily on a daily basis, and using music and maybe linking parents in with that as well. And then hopefully you'll be able to show the impact of that in terms of children's development and confidence for starting school as well. And just remember, the central question behind every Ofsted inspector is, what is it like to be a child here? And if we're helping them, you know, with this really, really solid transition stuff that we've been talking about tonight, then hopefully we're helping them with their next step in terms of school as well, whether we're keeping in touch with that child or whether, you know, it's a goodbye with us and then moving on to school as well. So I just want to thank everybody for their participation tonight and for joining us. It's been wonderful to see you. I've seen some people obviously on your videos, and other people have been chatting in chat messages. If you've got any comments to share with us and you've got any ideas for future training, etc., then please do pop them in the comments